What's going on, guys? This is Mark with Untitled and Union Martial Arts, and I just wanted to make a fun little video, something a little different, if you will. But I think there's this false notion of my channel being very serious and very martial arts-esque, which it is. But as you guys might know, if you guys are video game fans, a very, very huge game, Call of Duty, which I've been playing since the beginning of time, recently, or maybe not so recently now, but included these bad boys, and even down to the burn marks on the Kali sticks. Yes, you can use this in a video game. I know it's not the first time they've been featured in a video game, but this one really captured the eyes of so many people. And what I find super cool is that, you know, a lot of the youth can get a taste of kind of what this martial art is about, even though it's just maybe a small fraction of, you know, all the avenues of Filipino martial arts. But I just wanted to go over, you know, kind of my thoughts and some of the techniques that you can see them using in the actual gameplay. So they use the term akimbo, but for the technical term, we would call it doble, which means double, and then you would proceed to call it either your stick, some people call it a baston, some people call it, like us, we call it olisi. So for us, 2 sticks would equal double, or doble olisi. And so, you know, you see a lot of these chambered positions, and this is one of the most iconic things about Filipino martial arts, especially to the public, is something that we call the SINAWALI. And basically a SINAWALI, it can range, but most of the time, a standard double stick SINAWALI would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is one of the things that a lot of people use to get them started in double stick techniques, or just to get an idea of how to weave the sticks. If we want to use 2 sticks together, it's very important that they don't impede each other, or they don't end up tying your hands up where you're stuck. So there's a couple things with the gameplay which is really, really cool. There's a couple things that I wish they did a little bit differently. So let's kind of go into that. Again, if you guys are interested in learning the double stick SINAWALI, there's so many different tutorials here on untitled.com, and really it's a 6 count. It's 3 movements done on 2 sides. Okay, so we have a top strike, we have a bottom strike, and then we have what we call the switching strike, which is basically me switching the positions in regards to my clipped position with 1 stick on top and 1 stick underneath. So once I get here, I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. Top strike, bottom strike, switching strike. Right? And there's a whole detail of how you can break it down. If that's not simple enough for you to pick up, everybody learns a little bit differently. So definitely, I'll add some links in the description box if you guys want to learn that. Now here's the thing, because they do a little bit of variations in the SINAWALI. So the next one that you can kind of see in the gameplay is they do kind of like a horizontal SINAWALI. And this isn't technically a count of its own, but however, you can adjust what we call the tepi drills to kind of make it look like that. So horizontal will, of course, cover your lefts and rights and on this flat line here. And basically from that position, you can almost do the same process as a SINAWALI, but now instead of it being circular, it's more linear or flat. So then here, I'm kind of punching out the sticks, and you can see that if I go from a regular SINAWALI and I just kind of change it up here, I get more of those clipping strikes, which is a lot of what you see in the actual gameplay. So that's one of the variations I saw that was pretty cool. And a lot of the times as well, or I want to say a lot of the times, but most of the time you would see that horizontal transfer, as well as in the gameplay, to what we call the Heaven and Earth tepi, or Heaven and Earth 6. Again, a 6 count, very, very basic, very common in a SINAWALI, especially when you deal with double sticks. So far we have the regular SINAWALI, which is a little bit more circular, right? We have the horizontal SINAWALI, if you will, which kind of gives this punching motion and follows a more flat line. And then you can also notice that at some points in time, it looks like we're doing the Heaven and Earth, which is basically a combination of what we call Heaven 6 and a combination of what we call Earth 6. So you're pretty much hitting a high line, low line, high line, low line. And this is one of my more favorite tepi because it gives you a little bit more variety, but again, it still follows that 6 count. So it was actually really, really impressive that they were able to include that and not just have kind of sticks flying around in circles. I'm glad they put a little bit of detail in that. What I would have liked to see, if it was even a possibility, that they would change the range a little bit, which I know is a little more difficult in gameplay and turn that into a graphic, but SINAWALI is more of a medium to long range technique. It requires me to use what we call the striking point to attack. So in that sense, if you're running up to someone and you're attacking, oftentimes we would transfer to close range techniques, which is using the lower half. So particularly in our system, we have an allowance at the bottom, and this is what we call the puño, or the butt of the stick. And this is kind of our close range techniques where we kind of use that to be able to accommodate the fact that our stick won't be able to serve the distance that I'm in. I'm in what we call corto, or close range. So when I'm here, this is good for medium long range, but as I progress forward, I'm going to start going into my close range techniques and then switch to the puño, or the hooking section of the sticks. And here's the thing, maybe it's a silver lining with a lack of extra detail in the gameplay, but one of the misconceptions with the SINAWALI is that you can't do it forever. Okay, so a lot of times people will actually use the SINAWALI as an excuse for double stick. So they'll stay in this position, they'll start here, and then from here they'll just kind of stay in this count. And they might be able to give a little bit of variety, but it's generally one speed and kind of one motion that can't be stopped. So by one motion I mean those 6 counts going in a fluid motion here. So when you think of SINAWALI, it's one flow, even though there's 6 counts to train it. But that's very, very minimal to what SINAWALI is supposed to be. So when you use SINAWALI, I mean, it only takes a couple strikes for you to get that kill in the game, but you kind of want to approach it that way. You want to have these bursts. So if I'm coming in, I'm using my SINAWALI, I want to burst, change the angle, and then from here maybe I switch off to a different technique, and then I start applying and fine-tuning that SINAWALI to the situation. Because, you know, it's kind of ridiculous, really. If you have your SINAWALI and you have it in this almost Zen mode flow, and you kind of think you're like a bulldozer, and you can just run over everything and anyone that's in your path, right? I mean, maybe if these were lightsabers, maybe if these were extremely sharp bladed weapons, but especially with sticks, you got to learn how to retain your weapon. You got to be able to work around things that you can't cut through. So a lot of the times those snapping positions from that tapi or that horizontal SINAWALI will come in handy so that you don't end up hitting something and then disarming yourself. So I guess it's a silver lining that it doesn't take too long in the game, but it really gives you a little bit of variety, right? So I also would have loved to see a little bit more with tick strikes. That's just my personal preference, really. With tick strikes, are basically whipping strikes. They have a lot of wrist flexor motions in them. And so a lot of the times when I do my SINAWALI, I'll break the pattern, and then I'll just add in with tick strikes. This is what we call a trapilon. It's basically a double strike. You can do it on the other side as well, right? You can kind of switch up the pattern and go really, really out there if you wanted to. But again, it really depends on the actual situation. So I don't blame the game for not being able to incorporate so much detail. But I mean, hey, if we look at it, ladies and gentlemen, Filipino martial arts has hit the mainstream yet again, and I'm super proud that one of my favorite games growing up incorporated my favorite thing to do, my career. So shout outs to that, and hopefully everyone that is playing the game is giving a little bit more thought into the Filipino martial arts culture, and giving it a chance and trying to learn it for more than just a couple of stick tricks, and that's something that this channel is all about as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown. If you guys want to learn it in a little bit more detail, make sure you comment below and I'll definitely do a follow-up video. Again, plenty of content from past videos on untitled.com. We got online memberships as well with live feedback, so all that information is down there if you are interested. And if you guys don't see me in the gym soon, if you guys don't see another video soon, maybe you'll catch me on Call of Duty. So go easy on me, let me win, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys next time.